Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Sosh Tui, and today we're talking about all the books I read in January, which is a lot. These are all the books I read in January. Well, there's one more, but I don't have the physical copy of it. But the first book I read this month is Happy Place by Emily Henry. I really liked this book. I loved this book. I've actually read another book by Emily Henry. Well, sort of. I tried reading Beach Read last year and I DNF'd it. I did not enjoy it. That book just didn't do anything for me. I stopped, I think, after 100 pages. But I did want to give this author another chance. I was not sure if it's like the author I don't like or just that one particular book that didn't do it for me. So I picked up Happy Place this year and I actually really loved it. Happy Place is about these two people who were in a relationship for quite a long time, for like 8 years, and then they broke up, and then they kind of have this like friend group between them, and they have like a vacation coming up. For the sake of that friend group and certain circumstances that I explained in the book, they decide to just fake their relationship for this one last vacation because they don't want to break their friends' hearts for a particular reason. It was really good, honestly. Like, the characters were pretty sweet. They have a slight found family kind of aspect. The relationship was really sweet. We read this book in flashes of before and after. So before, when they were dating and still together, and the current situation where they are faking their relationship. And it's really sweet. All the little moments, their entire romance was really sweet, really heartwarming. The little moments that she builds, her writing style was all really good. I just feel like towards the end, when we get to know why they broke up, and then the resolution for it was just a little underwhelming. Like, they've been together for 8 years, and after 8 years of being together, the reason for their breakup was a little ridiculous. And then the way they got back together was a little like hastily done or messily done. Like, I feel like the entire book was built so well, and then the end was like, okay, I guess. Also, the last bit was like really focused on like their friendship dynamics and the changes in them as well, which was, I felt like it took up too much space and it didn't need to take up that much space. So the book was almost perfect for me except the last like 150 pages. So I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Really good book, will definitely recommend it. I just wish I was just wanting like a little something slightly better than what we got. But nevertheless, great book. I really enjoyed it. You should read it. The next book I read this month was The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. And first of all, it's a really pretty cover. Almost, except if you've seen my Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes video, you know that I have a huge fear of snakes, and there's a snake on the cover here and on the back as well, which I did not think would bother me as much, but it did, so I've just covered that up. So, but the cover regardless is still like stunning. The book, on the other hand, if you've seen my December wrap up, then you know that I am not the biggest fan of the series. I did not enjoy that first book, and I've mainly kept up with the series because the way she writes her climaxes are so enduring, and you really like, they're so twisty, and like there's so much like always like a sense of betrayal in them that you just want to know what happens next, and it's just the curiosity that has kept me going. I will say though, the writing in this was much better compared to the two books. Also, the male lead Carden was a lot better in this book compared to the first two books. Like, I feel like if the atmosphere of this book was what was in the first book, I would have enjoyed the series a lot more. There's a whole arc in the end with something to do with like a snake, a serpent, hence the cover, which is just like a personal problem that I had, that I was just not able to get with because of my personal issues with the fear of it. um, so that kind of like really took me out of it, but that's a personal thing. I'm sure otherwise people would have enjoyed that arc. So that, and just other reasons that I've already talked about the series and my other wrap up, I was just like, I was okay with it. Like, I feel like this book could really have been a 4 stars for me. but I rated this like a 3.9 or 3.8 out of 5 stars, which isn't bad. It's really good, and I think it's the best rated out of all the other books, or maybe The Wicked King, I'm not sure. But yeah, it was it was nice. It was a lot better than The Cruel Prince. But yeah, I will not be continuing with the series of this world. I think I've had my fair share of it. If you're interested, you could pick it up, but I wouldn't recommend it. I do think that I really admired the main character a lot more in this book. The female main character that we have, she is a formidable girl. Like, she's formidable, she's really brave. She's a badass, honestly. She's really a badass. She's cunning. She knows what she wants, she's proud, and I admire that. We don't see that a lot in our female characters. I just wish we could have found this character in a better story. Also, just in case if you didn't know, the main character, the male lead, he's a fairy and he has a tail. I just could not get over it. After 3 books, I am still not over the fact that he has a tail. Whatever floats your boat, okay? This is not mine. The next book I read was The Mistake by Elle Kennedy. This is the second book in the Off-Campus series. The first book, The Deal, I read last year, and I really enjoyed this, just like I enjoyed The Deal. This is a hockey romance. It's set in a college called the Briar University, and in each book, they're all standalone contemporaries, but they're interconnected. So each book follows a different member on the hockey team. So in this book, we followed Logan and his romance with Grace, and it was really cute, honestly, like really sweet. There are certain things I'm noticing, I think, in the series, like which are certain statements that are put out there which can be a little, or certain kind of language that's used that can be a little like off-putting, but I think it's just like it's dated. I think this was written in the early 2000s or 2010s, and you can tell. Other than that, honestly, like, I really enjoyed the book. These are really sweet. I enjoy hockey romances, I enjoy sports romances a lot, so this was really sweet, and I look forward to reading the next book. I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars. So if you're into sports romances, if you want a light read that's super easy and quick to finish, then you should grab this one for sure. The next book I read was Finale by Stephanie Garber. This is the third and the last book in the trilogy, the Caraval trilogy. This is a series that I was highly anticipating, and I really enjoyed the first 2 books, the second book more than the first book actually. And so I was really looking forward to the finale, and it was a little disappointing, to be honest. For those of you who don't know, this is a story about these 2 sisters who go to this magical festival called the Caraval, and this book basically revolves around a lot of like mystical fairyland vibes, very Alice in the Wonderland vibes kind of a place. It's a very immersive story. Like, when you're reading it, you're really wrapped around the world. I really enjoyed that kind of world building. So in the first book we follow the first sister, and in the second book we follow the second sister, and in this book we follow both of them together. And I just feel like I had quite a few issues with this book, plot wise, but overall my feelings are that we didn't need this book. I feel like the story could have been wrapped up in the first 2 books. Like, this entire series could have been a duology. I don't know why we had this. A lot of what was happening in this book was so unnecessary and dragged out, and then the entire finale to the finale book, the entire climax scene was so like why is this happening, why was this choice made? Okay, like, you're just like, okay, I guess this is what it is. But at the same time, I do enjoy the characters somewhat. Some of the characters I enjoy, some I just have no feelings for. And I do enjoy the world, so I gave this a 2.9 out of 5 stars, which was the least rated out of all the 3 books. So it was kind of a meh kind of a finale. I feel like you can just read the summary of this and move on to the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I said what I said. The next book I read was If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nowlin. This is a sad book. It's a sad romance, if you can even call it that. It's about these 2 kids in high school, and we follow the girl's perspective throughout this book. Basically, her name is Autumn, and Finn were childhood best friends. Their moms were like best friends, their neighbors, and they grew up like being attached to each other, and you know, it was kind of one of those childhood best friends where like the moms were like, oh, they're so gonna get together when they grow up, but they grew apart instead, even though they had feelings for each other. And we follow the storyline of like them growing up together, why they broke apart, how they dealt with their feelings. They had their own individual relationships as well while they were growing up, pining for each other but never knowing it. And everything that follows. It is a sad book, and it is a great storyline, to be honest. Like, it's a really enjoyable story, really enjoyable characters, a lot of gray area that is explored over here. So I would definitely recommend it. I did not find this incredibly sad. Like, I did not cry my heart out like most people have reading this book, but that could also just be because of personal issues. I've been in mourning for something else these last few months, so the pain wasn't hitting me that way, is what I'm assuming is the reason. But it was an enjoyable read. It deals with a lot of mental health topics as well, so I just want to issue like trigger warning for like depression and suicide or suicidal attempts or eating disorders, all of that. If you're not comfortable reading, I would take a step back from this. I feel like mental health is a very difficult area to explore in fiction books. Very few books get it right, and sometimes also like, is there a way to get it right? You know, it's such a gray area to explore, but this book has tried its best. And yeah, I rated this a 4.75 out of 5 stars. It was good. The next book I read was One of Us is Back by Karen M. McManus. I freaking loved this book. This is the finale to the trilogy One of Us is Lying. Okay, it's a murder mystery YA fiction trilogy, and it has like every book has a different murder mystery plot, but they're all interconnected in some way, and we follow a certain group of friends. And there's a lot of like great vibes. It's funny, it has a murder mystery, it's charming, it has like a found family, very strong found family aspect in it, especially in this book. And I loved it. I have a detailed review about this on my channel. I will link the video down below in the description box. For now, I loved it. I rated a 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This is a new adult dystopian fantasy. It's very Hunger Games inspired, and it has a lot of great plot, great fantasy, great romance, great magic system, great everything. Honestly, I fucking love this book. I have a detailed review about this as well on my channel, linked down below. That's all I'm gonna say on this. 5 out of 5 stars. You should definitely pick it up no matter what genre you like, and that's all I'm gonna say for now. The next book I picked up was The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, another highly anticipated read. I really enjoyed this book. It's very YA, like it's very YA. The minute you pick up this book, you know you're in a YA book. So if that's not something you're comfortable with, everything else that I have YA on my list can somehow slide. But this is very YA, but at the same time it's very gripping. Okay, it's a gripping story tale. It's about this girl who is basically living hand to mouth. This girl who is not living in the best condition. She and her sister are barely making it by, when suddenly this billionaire in America, one of the biggest billionaires, dies, and then he leaves his entire fortune to her, 46.3 billion, I think, to be exact. And not just the entire fortune, but everything, all his other investments, his hotels, his properties, everything he leaves to her instead of to the family. The vibes are very like Scooby-Doo and Knives Out kind of a vibe. So if you like that, you will love this book. There's a lot of mystery in it, trying to resolve why he picked her, what is going on. There's a very mysterious and cryptic vibe about the family. They've grown up playing all these like puzzles and stuff, so there's always like we're solving all kinds of like cryptic puzzles and everything. And there's a little bit of a romance as well. Yeah, all the good stuff. I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I will be having a detailed review coming about the entire series soon, probably by next week. So if you want to hear my detailed thoughts about this, because I have quite a few, be prepared for that. Stay tuned for that. The next book that I don't have a physical copy of was Kiss Now, Lie Later by C.W. Farnsworth. This is another sports romance, a YA fiction, small town sports romance. The guy is a football player and the girl is a soccer player. It was really cute. Honestly, the first half of the book was so promising. It's like a strangers to friends to lovers romance between them, and there's a lot of like focus on their individual sports as well. They are basically these two people from rival schools and rival towns, and her dad is the coach of her school's football team, and her brother is the I think captain of their football team. The guy that she's dating is, I think, captain of the football team of the school. So they're rival teams and rival schools and rival towns, and they're secretly brooding their own romance behind the scenes. This was really cute, honestly. Like, I loved their romance. I loved the way the characters were built and the way the rivalry was built between them, and the towns and all that is explored. I just feel like the second half, the end was just very hastily done, and the final epilogue that we had, I was not happy with it for a number of reasons. It was just not well done, to be honest, and I had so many expectations. Like, it was so well done throughout the first even 3 quarters of the book, and then the last quarter was just like, I feel like someone else wrote that story, to be honest. So it was just disappointing, which is why I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. But nevertheless, if you love a good sports romance and like where both the characters are sports players, it was really cutely done. So I would recommend it. It's not a bad book, but the end is a little disappointing. Moving on to the last 2 books I read this month. We have The Hawthorne Legacy and The Final Gambit, which is the second and the third book in the Inheritance Games series. Now, fair to say, I loved the entire series. I did love it. I do have my reservations about certain things that went down, which I will be discussing in my review. But I loved it. This one, the second book, was a 5 out of 5 stars, and the third book was a 4.65 out of 5 stars. Overall, this entire trilogy, I loved it. A detailed review will be coming, but just so you know, it's YA. It has puzzles, it has mystery, it has romance, and if you're into that kind of stuff, I would definitely recommend it. It's really enjoyable. So yeah, those are all the books I read in January. We had quite a good mix in here. Let me try showing these books to you. Oh my god, these are all the books. So these are all the books I read in January. I've had a pretty good reading month, I would say. As you can see clearly, some really enjoyable reads, a few 5 stars in there as well. If you've read any of them, if you enjoyed any of them, please let me know in the comments. Let's discuss. Let's see, does everyone have the same opinions as me, or am I the only one? So yeah, looking forward to February, and with that, I'll see you in the next one. If you read any of these, if you enjoyed any of these, please let's chat about it in the comments, because I love seeing your opinions about it, and on my Instagram as well, linked down below. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. It really helps me, and it's just good to build this community and keep building it and rising up. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.